It's becoming even clearer that the devastating California wildfires could have been prevented or at least contained faster. Former fire chiefs have told the LA Times that the LA Fire Department could have sent at least 10 additional engines to the Palisades before the fire. And the Palisades fire toll might not have been as bad if extra engines had been pre-positioned much closer to the most fire-prone areas. Now, joining us now is independent journalist Brittany Hopper, who tragically lost her old home in the fires. Brittany, thank you for joining us. How frustrating is it that we're hearing more revelations, more evidence about how these fires could have been handled so much better? And the LA Fire Department Chief, Kristen Crowley, and Karen Bass, the LA Mayor, just refused to respond to the media about this.
Yeah, I mean, on a personal note, yes, we got lucky because we did sell our home before moving to Florida. But and so many people weren't as lucky. But on a professional note, I mean, for years I covered wildfires, so many wildfires in the state of California, and I know firsthand that when we knew catastrophic winds were going to come like this, we too were dispatched as reporters. So where were these firefighters in these, vulnerable fire areas, which were in specifically the Palisades? This is just totally mismanagement of just incompetency, in my point of view, by the local and state officials. And it's very frustrating because this is the second largest destructive that has ever happened in our country, in the United States of America. Yeah. It's so unfortunate in so many ways that perhaps it didn't have to get as bad as it did.
And it appears that LA Mayor Karen Bass just is as hopeless as ever. I find her posts on social media very strange. She appears to be upbeat. This latest one, she's informing residents that they can meet with 12 different city agencies involved in permits. Take a look.
In front of the city's one-stop rebuilding center for all of those Palisadians that lost their homes in the tragic fires. We want you to stay. We want to rebuild as fast as possible and in a safe manner. So the one-stop rebuilding center, you can come and meet with 12 different city agencies who are all involved in the permitting and the planning process. So I invite you all to come. Begin the rebuilding process now.
Karen Bass has finally admitted that it was a mistake to be overseas, to be in Ghana when the fires broke out. But the damage has been done. What do you make of Karen Bass's leadership post-fires?
I just really think that this could have been her moment, her 9/11, so to speak, moment, that empathy, compassion, maybe a tear or two, considering how many people are affected by these fires in California. I mean, in Altadena and the Palisades, thousands upon thousands upon thousands are affected by this. And I actually, just 2 weeks ago, I went back to LA, went to our old neighborhood. I had to see it for myself. I'm telling you, it is not like what we're seeing in the pictures and videos. It is so much worse. It's neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood, an entire city gone. And so this could have been her moment as the mayor of the second largest city in the country. Why didn't she shed a tear or two and just show some compassion? She's always having this Joker-like smile on her face. And it's bizarre and it's frustrating. And I think for the residents, it's got to be even more frustrating for them because there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered, in my opinion. And she's not answering those hard-hitting questions. She's deflecting and not taking any accountability, which is, again, just very frustrating.
Absolutely. She's not answering questions, especially those reports out of the LA Times. She's refusing to answer those media requests, but then she's posting this video on X as if she's doing something. But, my heart goes out to everyone that is affected by these fires. Staying with California, it's been revealed that the state is spending $9.5 billion on healthcare for illegal immigrants. The California Department of Finance program budget manager said that the state is spending $9.5 billion in total funds to cover undocumented individuals in the Medi-Cal in the current year. And this is while the state faces a $30 billion deficit. Brittany, is this just another example of the Democrats getting their priorities so wrong?
100%. I mean, I don't see anything right about this. Maybe this is why we didn't see the fire resources and the fire hydrants ran out of water in one of the most taxed cities in the country. Perhaps this is why. I don't know, but this is, again, mismanagement of funding. And this is ludicrous in my mind. Why aren't we helping the people who are actually living in our country and from our country, citizens and tax-paying citizens? We have a huge homeless problem as well, right in our backyard in California. I'm dumbfounded by this. And like you just mentioned, $30 billion in the red. And then that estimate was prior to the fires. So I can't imagine where we're at or where California's at post fires. And then spending this much on illegal immigrants and their healthcare system, or their healthcare. I mean, I'm blown away. And I don't understand why. And I don't think we'll ever really get a solid answer as to why. But it's obviously not working.
Absolutely not. Thank goodness it's coming to light, but it can't continue the way it's going. Let's talk about RFK Jr. He's been sworn in as the Secretary of Health after being confirmed in the Senate. Now, he is more of a controversial figure, but he appears to have plenty of support when it comes to going after Big Pharma. Here he is on Fox News.
We buy 70% of the pharmaceutical drugs on Earth. We spend 2 to 3 times what other countries pay for health care, and we have the worst health outcomes. We literally have the sickest population in the world. Those are the people that got us there. We do need a break. We need somebody different who can come in and say, I'm going to be a disruptor. I'm not going to let the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry run health policy anymore. We're going to turn health policy over to people who are actually concerned with public health.
Plenty of people were celebrating to see RFK Jr. confirmed. And how quickly do you think we're going to see him deliver on his promises?
I mean, hopefully as soon as possible, just like President Trump said that he was going to do what he's doing, and he's doing it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see the same from him. And can I just add, I mean, because I don't think it's the same where you're at in Australia, but here in America, the FDA, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but we allow chemicals in our foods. The FDA approves chemicals in our food that is banned in 50 other countries around the world. Think about that. I mean, the chemicals that are allowed in our foods here in America, they're not even allowed where you are. It's so corrupt here. So about time, regardless of what you think of this man personally or how controversial he's been, he wants to expose this corruption that's within the FDA and Big Pharma, just like Trump wants to within government, and he's doing so. So, again, this is why people voted for Trump. This is why people want RFK Jr. This, despite how you feel on a personal level about these men, this is exactly why people wanted them in. And let's hope that he does what he says, because we have to get to the bottom of this. Obesity is a huge problem here in America, and as are so many other diseases. And I really do feel that a lot of it has to do with what we allow in our foods, the chemicals that we're allowing, the preservatives, everything else, the chemicals that are sprayed on our foods that are banned in so many other countries. Enough is enough. And the red dye and all these things. I mean, the list goes on that he wants to tackle. And I really hope that he does. I really hope that he gets this done.
Yeah, well said. I think we're going to see that the health industry really revolutionise under RFK Jr. He seems to be the only one that's willing to go after Big Pharma so publicly. I know he's got plenty of support behind him. And as you say, we've got to make America, well, as he says, has to make America healthy again. Let's talk about Donald Trump. He is, of course, unlike any leader the world has ever seen before, and this is a new one for any president in the White House. He has his mugshot from when he was indicted in Georgia in 2023, and it is framed in the Oval Office. Brittany, what do you make of this? I suppose it's no doubt a reminder to him about everything he had to fight against just in order to run for president again.
I mean, it's comical. And I also think it's a big F you to those who keep saying, oh, you elected a felon, you elected a felon. Yeah. Yes, we did. But you know what? This felon is absolutely doing exactly what and why we voted for him. So I do think it's a tongue in cheek kind of, but that's so him, right? I mean, he is just a big middle finger to anyone and everyone who is a critic of his. And so I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised, and I think it's quite hilarious, to be honest.
He's
You
brought
know,
humor back to the White House. Absolutely. I love it. No one else does it like Donald Trump. No other politician
Sure.
compares when it comes to humor.
He just doesn't care.
No, he doesn't. And it's, it's why so many people love him, right? He says it how it is.
Right. Right.
Finally, I want to talk to you about the Middle East. The US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has made a visit to Israel. He's declared that Hamas must be destroyed. And speaking in Jerusalem just after meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, he said that the release of the remaining hostages was not optional. It's so good to hear that. He also praised Trump's plan for the US to take control of Gaza. And the meeting came after a shipment of around 2,000-pound bombs withheld by the Biden administration arrived in Israel, which is, of course, a sign of how the Trump administration is pursuing a different policy in the Middle East. But there were 3 more hostages freed on Saturday. That was as part of the original ceasefire agreement. What's your assessment of how the Trump administration is handling the situation in the Middle East so far?
Right. And as you know, I pride myself of being a Jewish American Zionist, meaning I believe Israel has every right to exist. And all I can say is finally, we have some leadership to try and get this straightened out. Today marks 500 days. 500 days that the hostages have been held captive. So, and that's still including some Americans. So we need this. We need to see this. We need to put a lot of, stronghold over Hamas, which, let's remind your viewers, is a internationally declared terrorist organization. So, for people to think that this could just stop or end with Israel, no. They'll do this to other places. The West is next, as so many people say. So Hamas definitely, absolutely needs to be stopped. But first and foremost, we need to get those hostages back to their families. And hopefully Trump is, tightening this and going to, fix this, and the war ends soon. Because I think no matter what side you're on, everyone is ready for this war to be over.
Absolutely. Independent journalist Brittany Hopper, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. So great to speak with you.
Thank you.